Did we just take you to the cart as an excuse to show you the cart so that we could drink bourbon? What's the deal here?
Welcome to another episode of
Bitches in the Kitchen. I'm Janet.
I'm Chris. And today we are DIYing it.
No, you're DIYing.
Favorite thing. You know, as you guys know, Janet's favorite thing is to DIY.
I wish I was just better at it. I have the attention span of a dried prune.
Exactly what kind of attention span does a dried prune have?
None.
One of my very dear affections, and Janet's very dear affections.
We should hang our heads in
oh no,
shame.
I don't hang in shame. I hang in honor. Is our love of bourbon.
Everything's better with bourbon.
We are bourbon women, which is kind of a big craze right now. I began collecting bourbon because that becomes part of the fun thing. They call them unicorns when you find something that is just nowhere and you walk into a liquor store and there it is.
Like rare, hard to find, limited. I mean,
it's part of the game.
That criteria could be many different things.
Sure.
Hard to find, very popular, so it's sold out quickly. Limited release.
Now, I don't have a ton of unicorns, but that becomes kind of a really fun thing to do. What began becoming my problem was I had too much bourbon. I don't have a lot of kitchen wall space because I see a lot of people, you know, if you Pinterest this stuff at all, people hang them on the walls, people, you know, build shelves. I have a shelf that it sits on in my closet, but I figured out when I went on Pinterest that you could take an old baby changing table and you could create, voila, a bourbon cart. I went online in my local community and I found a nice young lady that was getting rid of her child stuff. $10.
Forget about it. It was only $10.
This was brown, you know, like the brown espresso, if you will. I brought my bar cart home and I bought this chalk paint, which the chalk paint's really thick if you've never worked with it, but it covers anything. And I brought 3 different shades because I kind of wanted the, I don't know, what do you call this?
What the hell am I supposed to know?
Driftwood gray, if you will. So it's kind of a gray and a black and a white. Painted the heck out of it. And then added my tap here on the end to open a beer bottle. Then I bought my little tray for the top. Bought that and painted it black with a little accent color. You can't see the bottom shelf, but I made a little tray and a little shelf for each one. And now I have, voila, a bar cart and my light, which looks really nice at night, by the way. This is my decanter, and these are my bourbon glasses.
Now, I actually would say that you already have a problem because you have your glasses up top and you have already run out of room for bottles.
That's correct.
For them to be displayed beautifully. So for example, if you don't know bourbon, and I am not nearly as well versed, I just know what I like. Really, I don't know all the ins and outs and what makes this better, worse, rye, whatever.
Nothing makes a bourbon better or worse other than taste.
Yeah,
what you like.
I just know what I like. But, so for example, I do know enough that Blanton's, which is a beautiful tour, all of their bottles are one of, is it 6? 7. They spell Blanton's, and all of the jockeys on top of the horses are all in a different position. So you can then collect, which is a game within the game. Not only do you go and seek the Blanton's, but you collect the different stoppers or corks, if you will. This is definitely not one that you would throw away. As a matter of fact, there are people have displayed even the corks in very interesting, innovative, creative ways.
And not everything I have is a unicorn here by any stretch. To be honest, there's only 2 on here that are even what I would consider rare-ish to get. It's just fun. And this was a great DIY project for me. Eventually, this will probably be all bourbon. It currently is a few other things at this point in time. Just some other bottles that I really like, some other prized liquor that I enjoy. Oh, that's a beautiful, isn't it beautiful?
Barrel-aged ink Imperial Stout.
It looks like motor oil, and it's going to taste fantastic.
Don't ever let your children tell you there's no such thing as unicorns.
One is a limited edition Woodford Reserve chocolate malted rye that was created specially for the Christmas of 2019. I was very lucky. I know.
Woodford Reserve in this beautiful bottle.
And somebody just told me about this one. I've had this. I bought this.
Knocking on heaven's door.
Correct. As some of you saw, we have the rabbit hole that Janet owns that's not currently on my bar cart. It has a similar looking bottle to this one.
It does, actually.
I've had this for quite a while. I've never tasted it. I was just in part of a forum yesterday that told me that this was really great. This is my favorite.
I know, and you
my
love
favorite
this.
drinkish one, if you will.
I have to get on the Basil Hayden bandwagon.
Well, we should probably have a sip today.
Excuse me, what about the damn freaking glasses?
Yes, so there's also a thing.
Along with...
There's also a thing about understanding how you drink bourbon. Actually, I could do an entire episode on bourbon, in case you can't tell how excited I get.
What is this episode? About the cart or the bourbon? Did we just take you to the cart as an excuse to show you the cart so that we could drink bourbon? What's the deal here?
So let's talk about this real quick. We talked about the cart, we talked about the project. A lot of fun.
Beautiful.
Totally. You really can Pinterest anything.
Get a pretty light.
Get a pretty light. Amazon. Gosh, it took, I was so mad too. I ordered it. It took 3 whole days to get here. I know. So this is a Glencairn glass. This is what it's called. The way that you know, you want to tell them how you know what a Glencairn glass is?
Something on the bottom.
Inside of an actual Glencairn glass, if it is for real, which is a bourbon drinking glass, it will say Glencairn on the bottom. So you can look in the bottom and it says Glencairn. Otherwise, it's just a fraud. Which, I mean, nobody's going to know anyway. So there is a certain shape.
You gave me the fraud.
Yeah, I got that one. Where did I get that one?
Herradura.
Yeah. I don't even remember where I got that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's a great glass down
about how your nose goes in or around it.
You look for the smell, or what they call the nose. You look, you look for that. You look for color. Then the aftertaste. All of those things become relevant when you are bourbon sipping, whiskey sipping, whether you add water, whether you add stones, whether you drink it neat. Okay, that's a whole nother episode. As you can see, I get really excited about talking about bourbon.
I just want to drink it.
It is one of my very favorite things. So this is Basil Hayden. This is a dark rye, which is a great everyday sippable kind of a bourbon for me. If you like a rye.
How much is Basil Hayden dark rye?
$38.99.
Oh, well, see, that's cheap.
Yeah, that's not too... It's not too bad of a price. Please don't say cheap. Cheap is like, it's $12.
It's an inexpensive bottle of bourbon, relatively speaking, to the top
Many of the rest
shelf.
of these are not that,
yeah, I mean,
for sure.
Come on.
So the moral of this episode is, you know what? You can repurpose anything if you just put a little smarts to it, a little creativity. If you can't, just Pinterest it, because somebody else has already thought of the idea.
Find a friend.
Or find a friend. Phone a friend that says, hey, I'm going to do this, and let them do that with you. Okay.
Anyway, tell us what it is that you would build a cart for. Maybe for you it's beer, or vodka, or beautiful tequilas.
What do you like?
Yeah, what's your favorite?
And if you're not a bourbon drinker, would you be willing to try it with us on set? Because we can teach you how to do it. Oh, that'll be a fun episode.
Oh my gosh.
I'd be so fun to teach everybody how to do it.
Who's in Kentucky? Can we come to you, buy a bottle, and maybe actually even
They probably
film?
teach us.
That would be great.
Oh my God, I can't afford to live in Kentucky, but I can visit.
Okay, I'm going to, ooh,
Beautiful
that sounded so pretty. Can we do that again? Mm-hmm. I wonder what 2 of them sound like, because this is the imposter. Sounded the same.
Yeah, it did. When you turn this on.
You were supposed to let me do that.
I know. So this was just the cool thing I decided to add. I have no idea what possessed me to do this, other than it sits in my hallway in the dark, and it's just a little battery-operated LED light. Yeah.
Why can't it stay on?
It can stay on.
Okay.